Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with a quick cassoulet. That's right, this classic French recipe usually takes days to make, but we've adapted a version that's only going to take about an hour. And is it going to be as good? No, it's not. But like I said, it only takes about an hour and it's actually pretty close. I'm going to start by throwing some thickly sliced bacon into a dry pan on medium heat and cook it till it's almost crisp. Not quite, but almost getting crisp. And this is kind of a one-dish meal. So you're going to want to choose sort of a deep-sided skillet like this. It needs to be able to go in the oven. But something that looks like this is perfect. I'm going to remove the bacon to a bowl, but I'm going to leave the bacon fat in the pan because the next meat we're going to cook is our sausage. So you're going to want to use something highly flavored. I'm using kind of a spicy, garlicky smoked sausage. I believe it's officially a Cajun sausage, but pretty much any sausage will work. So we're going to cook the sausage in the bacon fat for about 3 or 4 minutes. Then we're going to add our poultry, which is traditionally duck confit. But we're just going to use chicken thighs because this, like I said, is a quick cassoulet. So I have chicken thigh that I've just cut in large chunks. I'm going to saute that in that bacon fat and sausage oil for about 5 minutes until it looks like that. All right, so now that we used all that amazingly flavorful oil and bacon fat to cook this stuff, we're going to get rid of it. So I'm going to remove the chunks of meat and dump out all the oil in the pan. Don't wipe the pan out. Just dump all the oil off. There'll be a tiny little bit of grease on the bottom. We're going to throw in our chopped onion with a big pinch of salt, and we're going to turn the heat down to medium-low, and we're just going to sweat our onion for about 5 minutes. I just want it to start to turn translucent. Then we're going to deglaze with some chicken broth, and then we're ready for the foundation of this entire dish, the beans. All right, so I have 2 cans of white beans. I believe those are cannellini beans, the Italian white beans. Drain them, rinse them, and then before we throw them in, I'm going to smash about 25% of them, just with a potato masher, just to break them up a little bit. This is going to help the texture of this quick cassoulet kind of mimic the texture of the original dish, or hopefully. So stir in the beans. I'm going to add some cayenne pepper, because I usually do. And then some fresh herbs, some rosemary and thyme. Very, very important. We're going to dump the reserved meat back in, the chicken, the sausage, and the bacon, and just enough stock to cover, about another cup. All right, I'm going to turn the heat up to medium-high, and we're going to let that simmer for about 5-6 minutes. And you can see there it's pretty soupy, but you're going to be amazed at what happens here. All right, while that's simmering, I'm going to make the breadcrumb mixture, which is the key to this super fast kind of cheater method for cassoulet. I have melted butter, plain breadcrumbs, and real Reggiano Parmesan cheese. I'm going to mix that together, and I'm going to divide that in half. We're going to do this in 2 applications. So our mixture has been simmering on medium-high for about 5 minutes. I'm going to turn off the heat, and I'm going to sprinkle over half our buttery Parmesan breadcrumbs. We're going to put that under a broiler, and we're going to broil that until golden brown and crusty. I'm about 8 inches below the heat. So the traditional cassoulet takes hours and hours, and as it cooks, and every time a crust forms, you poke it down into the broth. So we're going to simulate that here. So we're just going to take a spoon, and we're going to push that beautiful, buttery, caramelized crust down into the liquid. All right, once it's mixed in, we're going to take the remaining breadcrumbs, put those over the top, and then I'm just going to poke it with the tip of my spoon so it's kind of down in there a little bit, but mostly on the top. That's going to go back under the broiler until that layer of breadcrumbs is beautifully caramelized and golden brown and crusty and amazing. Once the top is crusty, I want you to turn off the oven and just leave it in the warm oven for 15 minutes. The beans will finish soaking up the excess liquid, so let it sit in the oven for 15 minutes. Remember, the oven's off, just keep the door closed. Then pull it out, let it sit for 5 while you set the table, and then dig in to an amazing bean casserole. Think of this as like pork and beans with benefits. Pork and beans is great, all right, but now we've introduced chicken and sausage into the mix. That fresh rosemary and thyme I'm going to have you put in really brings this all together. And then the trick we did, poking those buttery caramelized breadcrumbs down into the broth, really helps simulate what you'd experience with the longer, much more involved classic cassoulet. Anyway, I hope you give that a try. Like I joked, it's not quite as great as the original cassoulet, but it's still very, very good and would really make a great cold weather meal. So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts, as usual. And as always, enjoy.